was terrific stuff, but for my money, Naseem Hamed has been beaten for the first time.
For the winner by unanimous decision, Marco Antonio Barrera.
Justice is done, no complaint from Hamed, and he couldn't have any.
I wish the kid all the best and the success in the world to him in his career, and I'm going to get back in the gym. I'm a great fighter, I'm a man. This is how a man and a great fighter takes it.
He took it okay on the night, Barry. I'm a fool. I believed him. I thought we'd see him back in action by now. Why have none of those things happened?
So did I, and I thought obviously that he'd have a number of fights over him, at least a couple of before the end of the year. That's a bit of a quandary. We don't know what's happening with him.
Well, what do you
but
think?
It doesn't look good. You know, he's always been a winner. He handled it, and to many, in many cases, I could say he's an on-top fighter. I think Ian hit the nail on the head. He's been found wanting technically at that level, and I think that showed that he was a bit of an on-top fighter. It was okay when things were going well, and now he's not able to cope with loss. I don't know. Let's see what will happen this year.
You can't box in the first division for 5 years, picking up mistakes and bad habits in the first division, then move into the Premier League and expect to get away with those mistakes, and that's what happened. Barrera punished him every time he made a mistake. He was punished for it. But what upsets me is Hamed. I mean, we've enjoyed his career. He's given us a lot of good nights, but he spent his career picking opponents. He goes into the Premier League, he loses, and he comes back out. He wants to go back to picking opponents again. He doesn't want to get back his credibility.
Well, we don't know that he wants to go
Anybody else
back
want to go straight back? Look at Barrera Morales. He want to get back together again. Hamed wants to pick opponents again. He doesn't want to go into the top
The only way he
level.
can redeem himself is to beat Barrera, and he knows he'll never beat Barrera. So he's left in no man's land.
If he adopts radically different tactics next time, does
never
Barrera
beat Barrera.
still have his number?
Always.
Why?
Always. Because he's technically a better fighter, and he's not going to be out-bullied. He's not going to be taken away from him mentally. He's going to be in there, and he'll always beat him.
The problem is actually right now, Jim, Barrera has something else on his mind, the rematch with Eric Morales, and from the look of the build-up to this one, this could be even more intense than Naseem Hamed has ever experienced. Here's what they were up to toward the end of the year, for example. Now, how do you see this?
Well, this is a real feeling. This is not play acting, because this is one fight nobody has to sell. The first fight they had was tremendous. 12 rounds of non-stop, probably the best fight we've seen in the last few years. So nobody has to sell that. If those guys are having a serious fallout there, then it is serious.
That wasn't a bad one, was it?
I don't like the way he backed off after he threw the punch. That's not like Barrera. I hope he's not getting chicken in his own days.
Excuse me, you're ex-fighters, and I thought at this time of the year peace and harmony would prevail, and you would slap them on the wrist for behaving like that. You think it's great? That's not right.
I don't think it's great. Look, and it's just all tongue in cheek, Paul. But however, it is good to see that they still have passion and they still want to win. And I think that the fight at featherweight is going to be all that more exciting. And something about the Mexicans when we talked about the Ayers fight.
Each other. Yeah, they dislike each other.
We talked about the Ayers Rigby fight, and it wasn't quite. For me, it certainly wasn't quite the same in the second time round. But these guys just seem to have something extra to us. I don't know what it is, but they're phenomenal.
Does Naseem Hamed look at these people, Barry, and realise now that he's not at that level as Jim suggests?
I think we've got to be careful not to be too unfair on Naz. Naz is a superb fighter, and I have no doubt that he can come back and win a world title. I just don't know whether he can fight at the top level again and ever be as effective.
I actually think he can come back and can fight at the top level. And I think you've got two great fighters there, Barrera and Morales. I think if Hamed come back and box Morales, he'd beat Morales, because the style. Morales is not as technically good as Barrera. He's not as technically tight, chins up in the air, and I think Hamed would get Morales.
I think we also have to remember, if you look through Naz's recent performances, he wasn't all that good. Augie Sanchez, he struggled. Kevin Kelly. You have to go back a few years for a real vintage Naz performance. So maybe Naz is a little bit over the hill as well.
I think his biggest struggle is going to be at super featherweight, and maybe his weight is going to be difficult, because he's going to have to maybe go up to super featherweight. That's the rumours.
As we stand right now, though, we hope Naseem Hamed will be back in March. Now for Lennox Lewis. He seemed at the top of the game early in the year, winning fights, earning acclaim and worldwide recognition in and out of the ring. But somewhere, Lennox started believing all the publicity. How else do you explain his lack of preparation before he met Hasim Rahman? Lewis hoped for an easy night in South Africa. Instead, in testing conditions, a young, hungry challenger seized his chance, and Lewis was embarrassed.
Oh, huge right hand from Rahman. and that has laid Lewis flat on his back, and we have one of the biggest upsets in boxing history. Lennox Lewis is dethroned.
After a court wrangle, the rematch was on, and the animosity was for real now. Rahman thought he'd won the publicity battle hands down, especially when this happened. But Lewis' night of judgment was coming. He concentrated solely on saving his career, while Rahman seemed to lose his focus.
Is he the future, or does Lennox reclaim the crown? Lovely combination, and Rahman troubled by that and looking disorganised for a moment. Oh, wonderful shot by Lennox Lewis, and he's laid out Rahman. Is he going to get up from that? It was a fantastic shot, and Rahman will move very, very well. He will be stopped. It is over. Revenge, redemption for Lennox Lewis.
I've been dreaming all week to change his name. Change his name from has been Rahman. His name has been Rahman now.
He was back, Barry. And was he convincing for you?
Oh, without doubt, probably his most convincing performance in all of his fights. He came back. He had to prove that he still had the ambition. He still wanted to win the title back, and he had to win it effectively and win it in dramatic style, and that's what he done.
What new did he show you, Jim?
It was just the fact that he could get himself up for it again. I mean, it must be difficult. Twice he's been knocked out by one punch. So, I mean, that's a tremendous dent to any man's confidence. To go straight back in with a fellow who's just knocked you out with one punch, just what we were saying about Naz a little while ago. The real fighters want to go right back in where the damage was done and reverse it.
From ringside, did it tell you more about Lennox Lewis or Hasim Rahman, actually?
More about Hasim Rahman. I think, to be honest, I think Lennox did what he should have done, 8 months ago. That's all he did. I didn't think there was anything improved about Lennox. What he did, he should have done 8 months ago. And it was good, but it was really bad, the fact that he let himself go so bad back then. And he did what anybody should have done in that position.
You spoke to your friend Mike Tyson for Christmas?
You haven't got a Christmas card yet.
Tyson's best moment of the year, in the ring at least, Glenn, probably came in Denmark against Brian Nielsen. Is that the sort of performance that would worry Lennox Lewis, should they meet, as we hope they will next year?
I don't think so. I think just looking at Nielsen, Nielsen was never in the greatest of shape. I think what you've got to look at is what Tyson did. He did some good things, but I don't think Tyson was that motivated. I don't think he really, it's a difference. If you've got an opponent, Brian Nielsen, or you've got Lennox Lewis in front of you, who are you going to train for? You're going to train for Lennox. Tyson showed a little bit of what he could do. He showed some great work inside. Lennox, he's going to have to try and handle this sort of pressure. But you'll see a lot different Tyson than you will against Lewis than you're seeing here.
Appreciate that. I don't think he'll actually get to. I think he'll have a chance of getting this close. Lewis will not want to have him this close, and Lewis will endeavour to do all he can to keep him 3 feet away from with that long, solid left jab. And because if he gets up close, listen, he's the most dangerous guy at this sort of range in the world. If he hits you up close, he'll knock Lewis out. So Lewis will not want to let him get next nor near him.
He let Rahman get close.
Well, he got silly with Rahman. He actually fell asleep with Rahman and allowed him. And it was a long right hand rather than a right hand from up close.
See, I keep thinking we're on to Tyson at the moment. We still keep talking about Tyson like the old Mike Tyson. If Mike Tyson's anything like as good as he used to be, why is he boxing Luis Alvarez?
Because he claims
Julius
he's getting ready for
Francis,
Lennox Lewis.
Nielsen. He's a money machine. All the top heavyweights would want to share a ring with Mike Tyson without any titles involved because he's a money machine. He generates the money. He doesn't want to fight those guys.
Not about that for Lewis, though, Jim, is it?
But
not about the money for Lewis.
No, definitely not. No. Lewis needs a credibility. Lewis has been robbed of the big fights. Riddick Bowe and Tyson have both refused to fight Lewis when he was at his peak. Tyson has refused to fight Lewis twice. You have to ask why. Lewis has always been prepared to box Mike Tyson.
He said he needs more time. Realistically, it's about making money, putting money in the bank and paying off his creditors or whatever. But the real fight is this one that's going to happen hopefully next year.
Yes, big name world stars I mentioned before talking about the heavyweights and the featherweights included the likes of Hopkins, Jones, De La Hoya, Mayweather and Lopez. Going to ask each of you to pick one of those. Glenn first.
Shane Mosley.
Why?
Shane Mosley. I just think he's like a Sugar Ray Robinson. He's just pure class. Tremendous fighter. Got everything. Punch power, excitement. He's a good talker. He's got the lot, and I think he is the megastar out there.
Best pound for pound right now, Jim? Your choice?
Yeah, well, probably Glenn's just pipped me at the post there, but if you ask me who I admire the most, it has to be Bernard Hopkins. because he's unfashionable. He hasn't had the treatment where everybody wants to help him. His back's been to the wall all through his career, and he comes through with a performance against Trinidad.
Not a
Fabulous.
great nickname, is it? The Executioner. He's not going to win any publicity with that.
No.
Final word for now to Barry
I disagree with both of them. I think the real star out there is Floyd Mayweather. He's undoubtedly the best young fighter in the world, and he's going to jump up 1 or 2 divisions. He's going to be undoubtedly the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world in the next couple of years.
Thank you. As well as the major world title fights, we've covered the country at home here to bring you the best of domestic action. And next, 2 more of the classic title fights of the past 12 months. Lightweight division, Steve Murray bidding to take the British title from Bobby Vanzie.
Come on, baby, let the good times roll.
And at light heavyweight, Tony Oakey and Chris Davis meet for the Commonwealth title. The best fights of 2001. We hope somewhere along the line that we include your favourites. We're even making Christmas special for our own experts, and Barry wants to press the claims of the next one for best domestic fight of the year. And for once, Glenn agrees with him. Few of our champions divide opinion like Bobby Vanzie, though. The British lightweight title holder is flashy and provocative. But against Steve Murray, he faced his sternest test, and in Murray's backyard. Glenn joining Ian Darke for commentary.
Murray, a power puncher who's won 9 times inside 3 rounds. The big question is he good enough? Is he ready to fight a battle-hardened campaigner like Vanzie? Not a bad feeling between these two. They've had a lot to say about each other. It's a bit of a grudge match. Off they go. Steve Murray, the challenger from Harlow, with all the support here in the gold trunks. The silver of the flashy southpaw, Bobby Vanzie. Murray predictably trying to hunt his man down, and a great left hook floors Vanzie. There it is, and Vanzie gets up very quickly. It was a cracking shot from Steve Murray in the very first round, but Vanzie has got up to win before now on a few occasions, but he's got to get through this crisis now. I don't know how he got up so quickly. A great right cross, and he goes down again, twice in the round, and this time he looks more wobbly. I'm not sure he knows where he is here. Vanzie, he's looking out at somebody way beyond the crowd. That's really weird. 16 seconds, can Murray finish it in this first round? Paul Thomas steps in, gives Vanzie a little time, and my, he needs it. What an explosive, dramatic start here. Is Murray about to rip this British lightweight title away? Well, not quite in the opening section. I could not believe how quickly he got up. I thought that was the end of the contest. It was an absolute peach of a punch. And then a right cross. That was the second one. Second round. Murray in the gold trunks. His mum and dad are in the crowd tonight, but Vanzie at least has had a minute to let his head clear. And he is dangerous, particularly with a kind of leaping right uppercut. Watch for that shot from Bobby Vanzie.
Yeah, and he can be dangerous when he's hurt. He's that sort of fighter.
He was on the floor twice against Hammond recently in a Commonwealth title fight and won it. And there's a sneak right hand, and he's not going to claim that though as a knockdown. Referee says no. You can hardly hear yourself thinking here. It only holds about 1,700, but I'd say 5-6 for the crowd. Murray fans, but he's hurt here. Great combination punching from Vanzie, who leers at him through the gum shield. The Viper strikes back in round 2.
Well, he's recovered amazingly well, Vanzie, getting the best of it here, picking the shot so well, so accurate.
It will be some comeback if he can win from here. A great right hand again, is hurt, but his head clears very quickly. This could still go either way. Well, he's a box of tricks, this Bobby Vanzie, and at the moment he's just bamboozling Steve Murray a little. Good body shot too from Vanzie there.
This is good work from Vanzie. This is the sort of thing he needs to win this contest. Just shots from all sorts of angles, catching Murray as he comes in.
He's doing it, isn't he, too? Confused and bemused a bit at the moment, Steve Murray. That's what Murray's got to do, nail him against the ropes, not let him out the corner. And Vanzie grabs hold, turns him around, and the referee's got to be hot on that, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. Murray not quite getting in the position, but not quite getting the punches on that he would have liked to. Vanzie pretty cute.
And sometimes you struggle to hit him with a bag of rice.
Still very close. Oh my God, just 1 point in Vanzie's favour.
Murray again, oh, hurt by a right uppercut and another right hand, and he's in bad trouble now, Murray. This could be curtains in round 7. Gets up quickly, but this looks very, very bad for the man from Harlow and his legion of fans here. Vanzie could take him out here, he's going to. He stopped it in round 7. Murray has no more to give. Bobby Vanzie has retained his British lightweight title in the 7th round, and you have to say that was an amazing comeback. But here's the end.
He's looking for the uppercut and then brings it through. And Murray out on his feet there.
I mean, in simple terms there, Steve Murray was outspeeded and outboxed. It was his first defeat in 17 contests, and Vanzie has a Lonsdale belt to keep after this extraordinary comeback to win.
Once upon a time, several Christmases ago, this was your title, Jim. Is Vanzie your cup of tea?
Well, he's becoming my cup of tea. I've criticised his style simply because I didn't like it, but his last couple of performances have been very good, and he's certainly rising in my estimation. But that was a terrific performance there. Been blasted out in the first round, coming back from 2 knockdowns to dominate the fight from that point on. I think he's actually head and shoulders above the domestic competition that's coming behind him.
Well, we've already seen the likes of Ayres and Rigby. How highly do you rate the division in Britain at the moment?
Well, I think that we're struggling at the moment because we've lost some lightweights. Billy Schwer has stepped up. Ayres has stepped up, Stephen Smith has stepped up, so there's a gap now. We're looking for some talent to come through. We've got some decent talent coming through, but I think at the moment Vanzie is just a little bit head and shoulders above that.
I want to make a case here for Colin Dunn. Don't look at me like that. I know I always do this.
No, that's fair. I'm speaking about domestic competition. He's a world champion. I was leaving him out of the equation because I wasn't looking upon him as domestic competition to Vanzie. He's above Vanzie at the moment.
How are we going to get them all to meet, Barry?
Well, that's interesting. We'll have to wait and see for that one. I don't think Vanzie is head and shoulders above of all of them. I think Colin Dunn's would give him a run for his money, but certainly from the younger guys coming through, Murray has certainly improved and come back from that defeat and is a better fighter for it. Graham Earl has quite a bit to go to catch up on them. Glenn,
who is the best lightweight active in Britain right now? And it's not you, by the way.
I think Vanzie's the one that would pip them all.
Above Dunn?
Yeah.
I think he is. I think Dunn's maybe had too many hard fights. I think Vanzie's style, he's cute, he's a decent puncher, and I think he maybe pulled Dunn apart.
I think Dunn is also coming to the end.
Yes.
Dunn's been a great little fighter, dynamo Dunn, but he's slowing down now. He's not quite the dynamo, but still a good little fighter.
We hope that the lightweight unification series will continue into 2002, but no division is just as competitive as the light middleweights. Wayne Alexander is the reigning British champion and now set to bid for European honours. Steve Roberts has racked up 27 straight wins and holds the WBF title.
was a beautiful shot. Beautiful shot. Mullings is all over the place. And Oakey's had a good look. He's going to call it off. It's over.
Richard Williams stormed onto the scene this year, winning the Commonwealth title and now the IBO belt. Anthony Farnell and Takalou are two danger men in this division, and their meeting in Manchester produced an electric atmosphere.
And he's got decked him with a right uppercut. What a shot from Takalou. Farnell looks out of it. Takalou can finish it here. Big shot, and the fight is going to be stopped in round one.
Farnell bounced back from that first defeat and is still a force to be reckoned with. And now yet another young prospect in Gary Lockett. Could he prove to be the best of the lot? So, Barry, time for our favourite Christmas parlour game. Who is the best light middleweight in Britain?
Wow, this is certainly the toughest division, the finest young talented kids around at the moment. Richard Williams is probably the most complete fighter. Gary Lockett and Wayne Alexander would certainly be considered the best punchers in the division. Alexander's more experienced, had a chance at the world title. Lockett's on his way. We still have to examine him as a fighter. We don't know everything about him just yet, but it's a red-hot division. I would say Anthony Farnell, Takalou and Steve Roberts are in the lower part of that section of fighters, I would imagine.
Jim?
Yeah, I think the big problem is that the way the game is today, there are too many different routes fighters can take. Now, we have an excellent division. They all seem to be holding titles, but they're not fighting each other. I just hope we can find out this year coming up who is the best light middleweight.
Why is this so bad, Jim, if it does actually mean that fighters get A, recognition and B, decent wages for their labours?
Because I'm one of the old school.
Yeah, me too.
The best. The way we had to do it was British, European onto world level. There were no shortcuts. You couldn't dodge. You had to box who was there. I mean, some poor guys had to fight Marvin Hagler in their day. Yeah, Tony Simpson, for example. You had to fight who was there. So if you want respect, you fight who's there. Don't dodge about and say, I'll go this way, leave him, he's a bit dangerous. Fight the people who are there.
So, Glenn, how are we going to knock some heads together and make sure that the light middleweights who are rivals in Britain end up fighting each other in the next year?
I think so. It will happen. It'll just take time. It'll take time because they want to explore the routes and try and get the fight. Frank wants to get the fighters moving along, get them ranked, get them high, and then bring them together.
Yeah, there's more money. What you're saying, there's more money involved if they both have a title.
If they both have a title, so the danger is that somebody gets knocked off and you don't see that good fight. Yeah. But I think they will come together. There is some excellent fights out there. The one he's rated at the bottom or near the bottom for me, who's just coming, is Gary Lockett. He's the one that I think. Wayne Alexander, he's doing it all, and I think he needs another big fight. But Gary Lockett's the one that I think might come through to be the surprise out there, but the one who turns out to be the best.
I don't think Richard Williams will be sending us a Christmas card. Yeah. He's hardly rated a mention from you.
No. Far from it. We only have a certain amount of time to talk about these guys. Richard Williams is a fabulous young fighter. He's a throwback. He reminds me of the fighters back in the 50s, back in the 60s. He does all the right things. He's coming, it's happening pretty late for him. He's coming to 30 years old now, but he's a great fighter, and I expect big things of him next year.
The lightweight and the light middleweight divisions have been producing fantastic action for us, but now the one class that really needed a shot in the arm this year, the light heavyweight division, and in 2001 it finally arrived. Tony Oakey against Chris Davis for the Commonwealth title in front of Oakey's hometown fans.
A lot of people saying on the build-up to this it could be the domestic scrap of the year, or one of them. Oakey used to be a heavyweight at 14 stone when he was an amateur. He's in the black trunks here for the first defence of his Commonwealth light heavyweight crown. He used to be nothing much more than a brawler, but has had a few refinements. Watch Davis's power, though, early on here.
Well, both have to be careful of the heads coming together. They're both similar styles, heads rubbing in there.
Mount back centre, packed to the rafters, and they say the people at this arena, they could have sold the tickets twice over. That's how this fight has taken off locally.
Oakey will be wanting to build his work rate up as he goes along. What he's got to do is not get hit that often early on. He's got to try and take Davis into the fight a bit.
Oh, right hand, he walked onto that Oakey, but he's got a wonderful chin. He really does. He can absorb the punches and come back. Davis is getting in with some hefty looking shots. The kind of shots that did for Neville Brown, a faded Neville Brown, it has to be said, in a couple of rounds.
There's that right hand, the knees dipped a bit with that.
Sharp little right hand from Davis, but his successes in this round much more spasmodic. There's the right hand to the body from this very determined character, Tony Oakey. Another right hand, good shot from him. He's just taking over a little here in the third round. That's definitely Oakey's round. I think this is sure to develop then into a battle of wills, isn't it?
Yes, I think it's one of those fights and who wants it more. Oakey doing better again in this round. He's just picking it up. Maybe Davis will tire a bit more.
Oh, great right uppercut there though from Davis. Oakey once again just absorbed it like blotting paper. It looked a terrific shot. Bit of blood around the nose of Oakey. Davis won the first 2 rounds. Oakey came back in round 3. Here we are towards the end of the 4th.
Oakey got away that jab.
Just a slip. Only a slip, no knockdown. A lot of the fans are on their feet, thinking that was a knockdown. It won't count as such, but Oakey straight away picks up the thread with body shots.
The strength and the work rate, although he might have just getting clipped there a bit.
Yeah, he's getting open here, Oakey, and got caught by quite a few headshots there from Davis. Got a little careless, charged in, tagged by one, and looked disorientated for a moment. He's needing all his durability here, Oakey. Davis having a big half minute, and Oakey starting to look a bit open. Good right hands, twice, right crosses, left hook to body, all from Oakey.
But Davis covering up quite well, taking a lot of shots on the gloves, and then looking for his chance, a little opening to get his biggest shots off.
More work from Oakey, and starting to put the punches together quite impressively, but dangerous always, Chris Davis. Less from him, but when he does land, it's quite often with some eye-catching, meaty-looking shot. There's terrific action here. And those people from all over the Portsmouth area who've been queuing to get the tickets are surely getting their money's worth. Pressure again here from Oakey, head and body. There's a bit of a swelling under the left eye of Chris Davis. It's not too much of a problem at the moment. I suppose it could become one. Good shots though from Davis. Goes through the gears. Every now and again he spits out a fiery little combination. And a reminder to Oakey that he can't get careless as he applies the pressure. Otherwise he could just walk onto one and suddenly the whole dream can turn into a nightmare for him. And Oakey looking very strong, muscling Davis back across the ring. Good body shot there, though, from Davis.
But again, time and time again, Oakey comes back harder with more punches, as if to, just put a little message there. Anything you can do, I can do better.
It's hard, tough stuff. One thing it's definitely not is the Oakey Cokey. It's all going to be down to Dave Paris as they touch gloves. The crowd are on their feet around this Mountbatten centre in the north end area of Portsmouth. Not too far from Oakey's home in Lee Park. Can he deliver the home win? It might depend on the last 3 minutes. We just don't know what the referee's scorecard is saying. Suddenly the crowd come noisily back to life. The bedlam resumes. And a great right uppercut from Davis, who started fast and is looking to finish fast as well. It's quite a battle, this. A good fusion of spirit between the two of them, who've gained enormous respect for each other. They touch gloves, but Oakey's got ragged in the closing stages. There's no doubt about that. This is where fighters need every ounce of their conditioning. Last half a minute of what's been a terrific scrap for this Commonwealth light heavyweight crown. Again, Oakey rather walks into one. It's a close fight. There's not a lot in it. Dave Paris decides in under quarter of a minute. And if Oakey's arm is lifted, the place will go absolutely potty. And it might do too if it isn't. We'll soon have our answer here. There's the final bell, and Oakey retains the title to set off scenes of wild jubilation among his home fans. And I say hats off to the pair of them for putting up such a scrap as that.
Time for a seasonal rendition of the Oakey Cokey, I think. And once we got that out of the way, you're the matchmaker. You weren't very good at light middleweight. How about light heavyweights when you have Neil Simpson of Coventry, this fellow from Portsmouth, good champions, unification?
Well, they've got to, haven't they? They've got to come together. You've got the British champion and the Commonwealth champion. And Oakey, I mean, I do like him. I think he won the ABAs at heavyweight. He's come down in weight. He's a real fan of the sport. He works very, very hard, and he deserves his success. And I think with Simpson, that's a really good domestic fight, and that's a fight that should happen.
Do you believe that fight, the Oakey fight there against Davis Jim, didn't quite get the recognition?
Yeah, probably not. If that had been chosen as fight of the year, I wouldn't have argued about it. I thought it was
you argue about
fight.
Everything.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have argued about that. I thought that was a tremendous fight. I think, well, we've talked about some real flashy, talented guys in the programme today, but I mean, that's the other end of the game, heart ticker, and we all admire that. They both showed that, and that is a good win to have on your record. Oakey can look back next year and think, well, I know I can do it because I've done it. That was tough.
We're talking about putting a shot in the arm into the light heavyweight division. There's one fight, if it could happen, for Britain. Clinton Woods, Britain's outstanding light heavyweight.
Yes.
Still he waits for Roy Jones.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, this situation with Clinton Woods. He's one of the guys that Jim talked about, one of the hard-working, dedicated guys. He's very talented. I don't think he's going to be good enough to beat Jones, but he certainly deserves a shot at the world title. Will it happen? That's the big question. I don't know.
Jim?
Well, Jones he wants glamorous fights, and it's not a glamorous fight. I think that's probably what's been delaying it for so long, but he's earned his crack at it, and he deserves it. I hope he gets it.
Thank you. More to come as we salute our other world stars. We chart Joe Calzaghe's progress in a year to remember. It was also the year Ricky Hatton put his name firmly on the world stage, and Britain's longest-serving world champion Johnny Nelson proved his consistency again. Then Nelson's arch-rival in surely the most explosive fight of the year, Carl Thompson against Ezra Sellers.
And a right hand puts Thompson on the floor. There's the power. Oh, would you believe it? It's an incredible fight.
Holy cow! Yeah, this isn't good.
The Italian is boiling over once too often.
Oh, and he still wants to attack him.
He's lost it, hasn't he? He has lost the plot completely.
We've come to the heart of
Oh God, I'm in.
Sky Sports, we all know about sport too.
it's time to give the experts what they really want for Christmas. The domestic fight of the year, and for once they all agreed on something. So, by unanimous selection, the extraordinary battle between cruiserweights Carl Thompson and Ezra Sellers. Two big names fighting desperately to stay in the limelight, and how it showed in their approach.
Stick around, this might be memorable. Carl Thompson in the green and yellow trunks, defending his IBO Cruiserweight Championship here. Title he's picked up since losing the more widely recognized World Boxing Organization belt. Not a good time to go out and make a snack this, because this could be a quick one.
Come on, Kent, keep going. That's good.
Just trying to work out the style a little, I fancy, Thompson. Good right to the body too from Sellers. Sellers, who was put in his debut all those years ago with Bruce Seldon, and a right hand puts Thompson on the floor. There's the power, and he gets up. Looks okay. He was up at a count of about 4. Have to take a mandatory, but that's not a good start for Thompson. This fellow has lights out sort of power, this Ezra Sellers, and Thompson has already felt it. And there's a right back. Well, what a fight we're going to have here, I think. And Sellers is in a much, much worse way as he gets up.
There's the little short chopping right hand from Sellers that put Thompson on the floor. There it is, just a reflex punch as Thompson lunged in, and then Thompson getting his own back with a much better, stronger right hand. And Sellers is going down pretty heavily there.
Sellers, the American in the black trunks. Thompson's right hand, what was it again? And Thompson might fancy he can take him out. Uppercuts back from the American. This can't last long, surely.
No, it can't. Thompson was hurt a bit by some punches from Sellers on the inside.
Left hook comes back though from Sellers, and he rocks Thompson with a left hook. Ooh. Big shots and a right hand back from Thompson. They're not bothering with jabs or anything like that. They're just looking for knockout punches all the time. And somehow in the middle of it, Sellers finds time to showboat and then floors Thompson again. There was a big chopping right this time. Thompson looks very unsteady. Dizzy and dazed this time. And there's still nearly a minute left in the round. Now Thompson got up quickly from the knockdown in the other round, but I think this time he's not so good.
No, he's not. He's dazed there. Another big left hand.
Oh, would you believe it? Back he comes to floor the American again. This is quite unbelievable. It's an incredible fight.
Well, the crowd on their feet with this one, Ian.
And there's still 27 seconds left in the round, and another right hand from Thompson. Is that going to do it for him? No, Sellers stands there, and would you believe it, plays bottom. Amazing stuff. And an uppercut from Thompson. Again, his eyes are in orbit, Sellers, as it landed, but somehow he's still on his feet. The bell is coming up, but will it be quick enough?
Chopping right hand did the damage, and Thompson was just left hanging onto that rope. But then straight back again, right hand on the chin of Sellers, and he goes down heavier this time.
And Thompson goes down again. Looked like he was caught by a right hand. He complains bitterly to Steve Smoker, but knocked down it is. The 5th of the contest. Well, Carl Thompson is looking for only one shot, and that is the right hand. Should he be looking for a bit more variety, Glenn?
Well, the right hand is the punch against the southpaw, but he has to be careful of the counters with the right hand from Sellers as he walks in. Thompson maybe showing that right hand a bit too much. You know, should maybe look for something else.
Thompson's a fighter who's had to show some real grit in his career. He took 2 right uppercuts there as he looked for the right hand again. He's won big fights on the continent. He creates a countering right hand as he looked to land his own. Now this is serious. Thompson is down. I don't think he's going to make it this time. It's waved over. The count only got to 6. Steve Smoger says no more. Carl Thompson is knocked out. He's lost his championship. Somebody was going to go. Unfortunately, it was for Thompson, it was him. He was looking to nail him with the right hand and got caught with that cracking shot. Look at this again.
Yep, he looked for that right hand too much. Left the chin exposed, and it was a wonderful short right hand.
Is that the end for Carl Thompson? It's a big win for Ezra Sellers, who might easily have been knocked out himself.
Extraordinary. It took your breath away, Barry, didn't it?
Wow, just seeing it again, it remains undoubtedly one of the best fights I've seen in a long, long time. Tremendous finish. And we've seen it, you know, the law of average says you have so many fights like that, up and downers, and we've seen it so many times with Thompson, like Ratchagiani against Eubank, so many of them. And suddenly it just happens, you know, the law of average says you run out of time, you run out of space, and that's what happened in this occasion.
But I think that the punch that finished the job with the finished most world-class fight, that was a peach bang on the chin. I don't see a big deterioration in his boxing. He's always done things the hard way. He never relied on lightning fast reflexes. So I don't think we have to start panicking because he's been knocked out, because that was a tremendous shot.
How much of a consolation to Thompson that he did lose to a good man there?
Well, there's always consolation, but he's at the stage in his career that consolation is no use. He's getting down the road a little bit. He's getting old. He wants to cash in his title, and he's now lost it. I wonder if he's thinking of coming back again. I don't know.
So give us a clue. What goes through a fighter's mind in that situation that he decides, in your terms, as a fighter, this is going to be a tear-up?
Well, he obviously knew. You know, he knew that going in, and we all knew that it was going to be that way. I think overall, he still had the confidence. I think he thought that he was going to win it, and he thought that his punches would have the bigger effect. And I think that's where his undoing, you know, that's where it came apart, because he was just going for that. The writing was on the wall. He just kept looking for that right hand, walking in, and then he gets caught with it.
Very disappointing outcome, of course, for Carl Thompson, Glenn, but in your old division at cruiserweight, Britain's Johnny Nelson keeps racking up the defences and keeps adding to the cash pile. What about his performances over the year?
Well, he's done well. You can't fault Johnny. You know, I mean, he's not the most entertainment value fighter there is out there, but what he does very well. He freely admits that. He goes in there, he wins, he keeps notching up the money, notching up the defences, and you've got to say.
Latterly appearing as a heavyweight. Do you like him in that division?
He's got to. I mean, the fights aren't happening for him. You know, the Giro fight's not happening for him. The Gonzalez fight's not happening for him. So if he's not getting them, he's got to try and go up. You know, he doesn't want to be in with too many too good. But you know, there's money to be made there. He can handle himself in any division because of the way he fights. 2001,
Barry, was definitely the year that it all came together for Britain's Joe Calzaghe. Should he be pleased with himself?
I think we talked off air about him getting over that sort of plateau. Now he's beginning to peak again. His performances have got better. He's had a number of fights during the year where he's looked like Vitair against this guy. Big, strong, unbeaten kid. Walked in, just blasted him out, and looked very sharp. And he picked that up and just carried that on throughout the year. His performances over the last year and a half have been much better. And I think now he needs to think about going to America and fighting some of the top names out there.
Jim?
Yeah, well, a few years ago, the super middleweight division was the division in the world, the most exciting division. All the big names were in it. Unfortunately for Joe, and it's not his fault, that is not the case now. There are not too many big fights. He needs something a little bit more special than we've been seeing from him. He's capable of it, but we need to see a unification match. He's talking about boxing Jones. I don't know if that fight is ever going to take place, but that type of fight is what he needs. Something to bring the best out of him. You've
got to remember, he's fought world champions like Robin Reed, Richie Woodall, Chris Eubanks. You know, there's some good names on Calzaghe's record. He does need, I think he needs the broader spectrum. He needs to go to America. He needs to see the American public. I think they'll really like him. But I know he likes boxing in Cardiff. He loves being at home. But he needs to get out there and let the world see what he's got, and let the big name fighters want to challenge him.
He's a good-looking kid. He's got that Italian connection and Italian dad. And he's going to be very, very popular out there. I think the way he fights, the Americans will love him. And the big fight for him is the Hopkins fight.
Let's hope it can happen. And now for the one young man in British boxing who truly seems to have the whole world in his hands. Manchester's Ricky Hatton, emerging as a major force at light welterweight. Hatton burst into world class against Tony Pep at Wembley.
The right to the body, down again. Graduation night. The hitman hits the big time.
Back home to Manchester to meet a talented domestic rival in Jason Rowland.
There's another left hook and another one, and he's got him this time. And does it in round 4 again.
American John Bailey was brave but outclassed.
He's wilting from the shots and he's down again. Still champion, still going places.
And still in Manchester, wily world-class veteran Freddie Pendleton was punched aside.
Hatton's getting to him now. And he goes down under the onslaught. Take that, America, he says.
Hatton then looked to end the year in style, back at Wembley against Justin Rousell of Australia.
5th fight of the year for Hatton. 2 uppercuts and a left hook. Not much back from the Aussie so far. Is he a busted plug? He's not going to be able to take too much more of this. Hatton here has him fried on these ropes.
Well, he's giving himself room. He's stepping round. He's getting the gap.
He's knocked him out of the ring. Rousell has to hold onto a rope to try to clamber back. A massive left hook. The towels come in from the Australian's corner. Nicky Van, the referee, hasn't seen it though. Nicky Van hasn't seen that towel. And Bennett takes more. Well, he might look like a choir boy, but put him in a ring, he turns into an absolute monster.
This story has gone from strength to strength, but is it only the start, Jim?
I think so, yeah. He's without doubt the hottest property we have in the country, and we're reaching the stage now he's just too good for his own good, because he's just beating people up. And I think boxing, to see the best in a kid, it has to be in a competitive fight. We have to see some competitive action, so there has to be a little raise in class. It's no good talking about Costa Zoo and fighting Rousell. You know, the two don't go together, but we'll have to step him up in class and see what he's capable of.
Is this our fault that we're starting to get overexcited? Does he need some time? And
well, he's only a kid, he's only 23, but he's had 27 fights. He has what they're calling a world title, a world championship. We know it's one of the lesser ones, but if you're going to call yourself a world champion, you have to be in competitive fights. He's had his dozen or so fights that he's supposed to win. Now we want to see him, and he's doing everything right. You can't fault what he's doing.
The real underlying point, surely, Barry, is not the world title, so-called, but world class, and Ricky Hatton is that, isn't he?
Yeah, in this days of multitudes of titles, I think he is undoubtedly one of the best fighters, and I think he's far better. That's how much I'm going to prepare to put myself out. I think he's far better than what we've seen so far. I think he'll beat Costa Zoo. There's a statement. I think he's ready to fight Costa Zoo right now. He's ready to fight any of the guys in the world right now, and I think the sooner that Warren can make it happen, the better. But he's never been in better fighting shape.
Can you understand that Frank Warren may be reluctant to push him ahead?
Of course I can understand that, and the point is this, he's a bleeder, and the thing to remember is I can see the guys sort of shaking their shoulders and saying, well, I'm not so sure. The point is this, he can get cut against a bum. The fact is he's ready to fight for a world title. He can beat DeMarcus Corley's, he can beat him every day of the week. He's ready to fight the top man, and that's Costa Zoo.
So do you want to push him forward quickly, or do you want to take your time?
I think take your time. I thought I'd been at the Christmas spirit there.
Yeah, don't touch it.
No, I think you've got to move him on. You've got to move him on. I think Jim's right. You've got to move him on a step, but I don't think you move him on too far. I think Costa Zoo is a bit beyond that now. He needs a couple of fights in the middle. You've got, you know, as Jim said, Rousell, Costa Zoo is a big gap. You need a couple of bigger fights.
Two more treats for boxing fans coming over Christmas, and it is the Hitman, a special profile of Ricky Hatton. Surely Britain's biggest hope at world level right now. A great character out of the ring as well. That's coming on December the 29th on Sky Sports 1. But before that, we can truly say a spectacular. It's Knockouts of 2001. Eye-catching action, Monday night, Christmas Eve. Knockouts of 2001, Christmas Eve, 6:30, Sky Sports 1. We've had nearly all our wishes, but we have just a moment or two before we close, Barry. First to you to say for our viewers what you would like to see happen next year.
Well, just to extrapolate on the point that I made earlier, the fact that we have so many titles these days, I want to see more unification fights. We've seen a super champion for the first time in Bernard Hopkins. I think we need to see more unified fights where we can see who really is the best.
But there's hope, and it's starting to happen even at British level.
It's beginning to happen over here. It's beginning to happen in America. And the more it happens for me, the better.
Thank you. Jim, your turn.
Well, things are not too bad in Scotland at the moment. I'd like to see little Scott Harrison boxing for a proper world title this year in Scotland, hopefully. And I'd also like to find out next year just how good Ricky Hatton is.
Fine, again on Scotland, you haven't mentioned Alex Arthur, a subject close to your heart.
He's at the bottom rung of the ladder at the moment, but he's probably the best talent Scotland's produced in the last 20 years, I would say. And
Glenn, to sum it all up, from your point of view, what is the most important thing?
They always get to pick the best presents first.
Back among the big men then, obviously the whole world is looking for Tyson Lewis.
Unification, what we've got to see, starting with Tyson Lewis, and what a great thing to start the year off. If we can get Tyson Lewis to go ahead and then carry the year on, we get the fights together, get the champions to fight each other, and get the guys underneath. Let's get back to and also the real titles, the British, the Commonwealth, the European and the world.
Lovely. Barry, Jim and Glenn, thank you very much indeed. I've had nearly all my wishes. Thank you for being with us. Hope very much you've enjoyed it and that we have managed to include at least some of your Christmas wishes too. But we close with a wish from us all for one of our most popular fighters of recent times. It's now a year since Paul Ingalls sustained serious injuries in his last world title defence. He's been making steady progress since, and his courage speaks for itself.
Every day you feel like you're getting, better and better as days goes on.
We close by wishing him a peaceful and happy Christmas, and the same to all boxing fans.